Wow, look how many mammals there are. How many are there? 1 mammals? 2 mammals? Maybe even 3 mammals. Just how many are... Hey, who turned that off? Was it you, Beepo?
Yes, it was. You have a job to do, idiot. There are more obscure mammals you need to tell the Earthlings about.
Ugh, fine. I guess you're right. Stupid robots. What do they know? They should be like vacuuming my floor or helping college students cheat on their tests. It's good to be back in my study chamber where I can study the beings of Earth from afar without them having any idea that I'm doing it. Wait, that sounds kind of weird. Right. Wait, where am I again?
You're standing in front of a green screen.
Oh yeah. Well, anyways, Beepo is right. There are more mammals that live cloaked in the shadows of their more popular brethren that need to be discussed. Last time I talked about some oddities, and believe me, nothing's changed. There's practically a mile-long conga line of mammals that can go unnoticed in the eyes of many human beings. So in this video, I'll take some time out to show you even more obscure mammals and tell you what they're all about. Sounds pretty straightforward, yeah? Beepo, you know what to do. Cue presentation mode. In my last video, I began my obscure mammal exploration with coverage of the elusive giant otter shrew, an amphibious relative of tenrecs that convergently evolved body plans with true otters. I noted that their swimming style of moving in a side-to-side motion and their laterally flattened tail was unconventional, as typically most other mammals do so in an up and down motion. This is due to the ancestors of mammals evolving vertically bending spines and developing limbs underneath their bodies. So when aquatic mammals like whales and sirenians continued to evolve, they developed horizontally oriented tail flukes to complement the up and down spinal movement of the body plans they descended from. Now, of course, as with most things in evolution, there are always deviations that go against the typical elements that you think characterize a group of organisms. A mammal using its tail to swim in a side-to-side motion being one of those deviations. Which brings me to our first obscure mammal. Living in the higher latitude regions of Eurasia is the desman. These are members of the mole family with 2 distinct species. One, the Pyrenean desman, living in the cool mountainous rivers of the Iberian Peninsula, and the other, the Russian desman, living in the ponds and lakes of, well, Russia, but also Ukraine and Kazakhstan. Like I mentioned before, desmans are an amphibious mammal, actively living in both terrestrial and aquatic environments throughout their lives. On land, they shelter themselves in burrows with chambers to raise young. Typically, these burrows, at least for the Russian desman, will have underwater entrances, granting passage into their hunting grounds. Their broad webbed feet, waterproof fur, and laterally flattened tails concoct an effective swimming machine perfect for navigating the watery world. The most standout feature of the desman, however, is their flexible snorkel nose, which they use while searching for prey, by blowing bubbles onto an object, then sucking them back in, transferring the scent picked up from the object. As it turns out, desmans aren't the only mammals capable of doing this. Water shrews and star-nosed moles do the same thing. And yeah, star-nosed moles can swim and hunt underwater. That's incredible. Who was gonna tell me? Who was gonna tell me? Wait. Beepo, why didn't you tell me?
Because you've never asked me about moles or desmans or anything of that nature. Instead, you always ask me ridiculous things like, can I make a minotaur live a stream labyrinth? Or can I genetically engineer new dog breeds so my dad stops barking at me in the morning? How am I supposed to answer that? Are you stupid? Are you dumb?
Are you stupid? Are you dumb? Whatever. Well, anyways, while we're still on the topic of amphibious mammals, there's another one I gotta tell you about. This one has taken a page straight out of the giant otter shrew's book of How to Rip Off the Lifestyle of an Otter. Believe me, it's popular. This is a racali. This is an amphibious rodent that calls the continent of Australia home. And due to its superficial appearance and behavior, it's been dubbed the Australian otter. Famously, the continent is home to many marsupial mammals and few placental mammals, as Australia broke off from Pangaea millions of years before the evolution of placentals even occurred. Consequently, this left Australia isolated, leaving few feasible ways placentals could establish themselves in Australia, like flying as seen with bats, swimming with seals, or other methods like rafting or land bridge crossings, which is most likely how the ancestors of the Rakaali arrived in Australia, much like how terrestrial animals make it to isolated landmasses elsewhere. Their presence is a blessing for the continent, as they're a member of the elite strike team of animals capable of preying upon the nefarious cane toad, an infamous invasive species that was introduced to Australia during the 1930s to feed on cane beetles that ate the much coveted sugar crop growing there. This plan didn't work, and the toads thrived in the wild, disrupting many of Australia's native ecosystems by outcompeting native species for food, or killing predators due to their toxicity. This is unfortunately still a huge problem in Australia, but it's good to know the Rakaali is out there fighting the good fight. They've learned to topple the cane toads onto their backs to avoid ingesting the poison that's produced on that side of their body. All part of that signature rodent adaptability. And speaking of toxic animals, the next obscure mammal coming up is one of my favorite creatures on Earth. Now, I do love all animals, but some just have a special place in one of my 3 green hearts. And this animal in particular would be the slow loris, which with its suite of adaptations ranks it as one of the most interesting primates on Earth if you ask me. They primarily live a nocturnal life, slowly and methodically stalking the tree branches of forests in countries like Cambodia, Vietnam, Malaysia, and Thailand. To make up for the loss of their tails, lorises have adapted an incredible grasp, where they can hang onto branches undisturbed for hours. This ability comes in handy for newfound slow loris mothers that engage in infant parking, a behavior where they leave their young in a secure spot, somewhere on a branch or in a nest, while they go off to find food. In order to ensure their protection, the mother may coat her young in toxic fluids, turning them into poisonous baby berries. You heard that right, Buster. Slow lorises can produce toxins. They do this by licking oil produced from a modified sweat gland on their arms, that when mixed with their saliva produces a toxic mixture. In occasions where slow lorises feel threatened, they'll coat themselves in this mixture, making them harmful to oncoming predators. Or they'll exhibit a defensive posture where they'll raise their arms over their heads for ease of access to their arm glands, so they can lick them and deliver a venomous bite. This silhouette in combination with its aposematic coloration is believed to mimic the appearance of a cobra's hood, warning a potential predator that if push comes to shove, things won't look too peachy keen. And things not looking too peachy keen is no joke. Slow lorises don't mess around, as their venom can rot flesh. There are some pretty brutal pictures of slow lorises in not so great conditions after getting bit by one of their brethren. Yeah, I'll leave that up to you to go look up. I'm not going to show that off to people. With all this considered, this makes slow lorises the only mammals on Earth, and by extension primates, that have both poisonous and venomous capabilities, and pose as great examples of the difference between the terms poisonous and venomous. If an organism is poisonous, that means its toxin is delivered through passive intake, whether that's through consumption of it or absorption like poison dart frogs, or poison ivy, or the slow loris covering itself in its toxins. If something is venomous, that means it can deliver or inject the toxin through a bite or sting, like snakes or jellyfish, or the bite of a slow loris. Geographically, many of the obscure mammals I've covered in this video and the last one come from the continents of Africa, South America, Asia, and Europe and Australia sprinkled in here and there. But what about North America, that old rapscallion of a continent? Well, I think I know something I can cover there. Let me ask you this question, all 13 people that live in the state of Arizona. What's your state mammal? I'll give you some time. Yup, that's right, it's the ringtail. No, not the ringtail lemur. The ringtail. Now, I've spent a lot of time flying across the United States abducting human beings. I mean abducting hamburgers. Because hamburger meat's really good. I love yummy in my tummy. They sure are good for your bones. Yeah, your bones. They're good for your bones. Now, I've spent a lot of time exploring the United States and thought I'd seen it all. So when I found out that these have been prowling around many of the western states of California, Nevada, Utah, and Arizona, I was baffled, dumbstruck, Some could even say bamboozled. Despite being listed as least concerned by the IUCN, it turns out to be quite the elusive animal, however, thanks to its nocturnal nature and nimble climbing abilities, granting them access to the many crevices, cracks, and chasms found in their arid, rocky environments. Nimble might be an understatement, though, when it comes to their climbing, as they've been observed scaling cliffs by bouncing from wall to wall like Super Mario. These feats of agility are a prominent aspect of their behavior that they share with their relatives of raccoons, coatis, and kinkajous, in the carnivoran family of Procyonidae, which are all built for arboreal movement. I'm sure everyone has seen what raccoons are capable of, and kinkajous even have prehensile tails, a common body part found in many animals that spend much of their time navigating tree branches that provide the benefit of balance and act virtually as a fifth limb, capable of grasping objects. The final obscure mammal is also elusive like the ringtail, but for a completely different reason. Here, we take a plunge into the depths of the ocean to come face to face with the beaked whales, possibly the most obscure out of all cetacean families. With 22 confirmed species across 6 genera, you think humans would have a better grasp on what they're about. However, their deep diving behaviors far off from land, discrete surfacing, high color variation between individuals, and general shyness leave little known about them, to the point where strandings, unfortunately, provide a better outlet for studying them in some cases. The first beaked whale species to be discovered, Sowerby's beaked whale, was through a stranding in 1800. From what we do know about them, they live fairly solitary lives, at most in small groups existing across the Earth's oceans depending on the species. They can range from 13 feet long as seen with the lesser beaked whale to over 40 feet long with Baird's beaked whale. Their physique resembles that of a dolphin if you decided to stretch one out, shift its dorsal fin to the hind region of the body, and shrink its pectoral flippers. These traits aren't just for kicks, however, as they streamline its shape, reducing drag as it swims, a benefit for when they dive into the ocean depths in search of prey. Beaked whales are on record some of the deepest diving mammals on the planet, even surpassing the sperm whale, with one species, Cuvier's beaked whale, capable of diving almost 10,000 feet deep. Down there they feed on squid, fish, and other invertebrates, using suction feeding. Upon returning to the surface, one can witness the circular bite marks of cookie-cutter sharks on the bodies of these animals, alongside the entourage of scars that adorn the bodies of males. It's believed that these are formed from the prominent tusks of rival males battling each other over mating rights with females. The shape and angle of these tusks are often so distinct among species that they're used as a benchmark for identification, not to mention the lower jaw shapes too. I mean, look at the lower jaw of the male Blainville's beaked whale. Talk about an underbite. Yeesh. You even give Hanna-Barbera dogs a run for their money. What do you want from me? That's the best thing I could think of. What else would I say? The Crimson Chin, Jay Leno. I don't. You listen. You got it. What is Hanna-Barbera even up to, anyways? What is he doing? In species like the strap-toothed whale over here, development of their tusks is taken to an extreme, as they wrap over the top jaw of the beak, preventing them from opening their mouths completely.
Sounds like that should happen to someone else.
Shut up. This may be to channel prey easier by acting as barriers, but from what I understand, this is all speculation. Hey, I guess it's doing something right for them, right? Despite our lack of knowledge about beaked whales, we do know we're having an impact on them. Noise pollution, as with other cetaceans, is a major issue for their health. Sonar signals emitted from devices on objects like military vessels startle them, inducing rapid ascension to attempt to flee the noise, leading to decompression sickness. Exhausted and afflicted by this condition, the whale's health deteriorates, ultimately at times leading to death. These occurrences are believed to be linked to beaked whale strandings, not to mention other whale species. This is unfortunately only one part in a series of issues, as ocean acidification and pollution also imperil the lives of these animals. Even other creatures featured in this video, like the slow loris, are threatened, as their habitats are becoming increasingly diminished and are coveted in the illegal pet trade, where their teeth are removed to prevent harm to their owners, a brutal activity that can stress the animal out and lead to its death. I hate to end this video on a note such as this, but this is part of the reason why I began making these videos, to make the common person aware of these amazing animals, and learn about the incredible lives they live. I think learning about the natural world is an exciting and rewarding experience, and though humanity's effect on Earth's life is a complicated matter, and not so easy to paint black and white, having more people aware of these beings and their dynamic lives is better than not having known about them at all, as it may change how people think about their impacts on the natural world and benefit the future of species on the planet. Now, it's not all doom and gloom, of course, as there are many amazing people, organizations, and agencies out there who want to protect the incredible biodiversity of your planet and are doing everything in their power to do so. So I recommend taking a look at some of these resources to further understand their efforts. I hope you learned something from this video. That's what I always want to happen. The next video won't be about obscure mammals, as I want to take a break from that topic. I'm thinking maybe of doing something like biogeographical laws instead, or covering a certain family of chompy-topped predators in the ocean. Sharks. I won't tell you what family, but I'm thinking of doing something with sharks. Let me know what you think. Now, if you'll excuse me, I have to go ask Beepo if watermelons will grow out of my stomach after I eat their seeds. Beepo? Beepo, help me. Please. Beepo, I need your help. I don't want to watermelon.